Have you been looking for a way to stay focused on your goals and grow your MSP? Accountability groups from RocketMSP can help. We offer weekly accountability sessions that meet online with a group of your peers. Your success begins with accountability. Go to www.rocketmsp.io to join your accountability group today.
Oh, this is awesome.
Crickets, 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 crickets.
And the Zoom talk is actually streaming the Zoom chat.
Hello.
All right. Angel, you able to hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
I can.
All right, sweet.
All right. So now I need to...
I need more stuff behind me.
Let me see here. I need to disable his video.
I'm gonna step away for a second, and I'll be right back.
No problem.
Hey, it's Adam here.
All right. Sorry about the technical difficulties, but
Not a problem.
But we got it. All right. So, let me disable his video. All right. And this is working. Good. Okay. So, we're supposed to go live in 1 minute. So, I'm going to be quick. Adam, do you have like an agenda or a slideshow, or are you just looking to do Q&A?
I'm just looking to do some Q&A. I don't have any slideshow, don't necessarily have an agenda. Sorry, I'm trying to get my lighting right.
No problem.
Very important.
If you spin, there you go. If you want the sun in front of you, or that's perfect. That's perfect.
Excellent.
Will you have the ability to share screen so that way if people have technical questions?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Cool. All right. I know Angel stepped away. I'm gonna say let's do this. And unfortunately, like I said, we had to. Oh, we're actually on the air. It's already going too. Okay. Now I understand why everyone's like, hey, crickets. Okay. So hi guys. I didn't realize that as soon as I hit the stream button that it went live. I'm doing this a little differently today. Angel and Adam were both having issues using the
crowd.
Gosh, I can't think. Yeah, the Crowdcast. So essentially, we're using Zoom. So for any of you guys that are members of MSP webinars and are like, I'm hearing things and it sounds strange, exit Zoom or exit Crowdcast. If you're a member of MSP webinars and you're in Zoom, you can watch this live on Zoom instead if you want. So this is going to be, I think this is going to be a fun one. Angel and Adam. Angel, you are an MSP, correct?
That's correct.
All right. And Adam, do you still have an MSP?
No, I do not have an MSP. I sold it in 2016.
Lucky.
So you had a successful MSP and sold it, and now you do ConnectWise consulting.
Absolutely, yeah. So what I do is I started my MSP in 2002 and sold my MSP business because I worked myself out of the business, becoming a silent partner, and decided to literally take on ConnectWise consulting and coaching because that's the tool I've used since 2004. So long-time user of ConnectWise and absolutely have a passion and love teaching and educating people about the platform.
Perfect. So let's just kind of dive right in. For everyone that is in the Crowdcast system, go ahead and pop into the polls. Make sure you answer those, just because I'm curious. And this will help us kind of tailor the webinar to you. And then also pop into the Ask a Question section. Ask your questions. Start asking away. Now, Angel, you are using both Manage and Automate, right?
That's correct.
Awesome. And Adam, you are mainly a consultant for Manage?
Mainly consultant for Manage and Sell. Automate's a little more engineering, but we do get into that a little bit just for integration pieces for agreement syncing and so forth.
Okay. So I would say my first question is, why is ConnectWise like either loved or absolutely hated? I think I want to start there.
Who do you want to start with?
Let's start with Angel.
Here we go. Yeah.
All right, here we go. So, why is ConnectWise loved and hated? If you don't love and hate ConnectWise, you're not using ConnectWise. So it's loved because, in my opinion, it's a very good Swiss Army knife. It's got so much to it that if you're using all of it, you're probably going to be like Adam and end up selling your MSP because you're done, you've finished, you've MSP'd. But if you're not using all of it, you've still got a ways to go. So it's a great Swiss Army knife that's got so much in it. The downside, though, is, and I speak a lot about this, and Automate is the same way, okay? There's so much flexibility that I feel personally, every time I look at a piece of software that has a lot of flexibility, the downside is that the usability and the end user interface are going to be sacrificed for the sake of flexibility. So a lot of people want to see eye candy these days. I'm not a fan of eye candy. In fact, I was pretty vocal when Automate went to their new eye candy interface and everything slowed down to a crawl. So from the managed side, that's the hate part, that it does take a lot of work, because if you don't know, and this is actually probably the area where Adam's going to be able to speak very authoritatively in, if you don't have a grasp of how your MSP runs and processes, you will not be able to tell ConnectWise Manage how to help you run your MSP. So that's my big roundabout answer.
Okay. And for those of you that are watching via Facebook or YouTube, I'm also going to be watching there for questions, so that way we can make sure we get to everyone's questions, okay? So just wanted to throw that out there as well. Okay, so next question.
Well, I would get the answer here?
Yeah, give it to Adam. I'm pointing here because that's where he looks.
He's here for me. He's here for me. All right. We'll I figured I was just going to ask the next question, but okay.
It's all good. So yeah, I mean, it's a love-hate relationship with ConnectWise, because we just see so many people frustrated with, support. Dealing with support over there is a big one. A lot of it's a really fast-growing company, and support tends to be very lacking, or response to issues are very slow. But ultimately, you have to make sure your business processes are really solid. When we start doing implementations, or we coach, clients through ConnectWise, we immediately start off the business processes first and foremost: sales, service, and finance. Those have to be really solid. Then we basically then say, okay, now let's bring in ConnectWise. Let's set it up. Let's put some structure. Let's add some best practices and so forth in the platform. So that's where, a lot of people, especially with ConnectWise, it's really fast implementation. They've never sought outside help outside of ConnectWise themselves. ConnectWise is really good at their software application. Maybe the development can be a little lacking sometimes. Seems a little careless of, when they release updates and it suddenly breaks one area that has always been working. So there's some little, things and pain points throughout, my many 15 years working with them that are just really super frustrating. But, it's like I said, it's a love-hate. But if you embrace the application, build your business processes, it's a really amazing tool. And that's why I exist as a business, is I solely only work with people who have ConnectWise. And we focus on building business processes and the sales, service, and finance, and then leverage the tool to its ability and capability and build it out properly so you're able to scale with your MSP. The biggest thing is scaling and growing. And a lot of people just immediately implement ConnectWise as fast as possible and don't really think about the scale. So when they go to scale, they grow, past $1 million, $2 million, $5 million, $10 million. It becomes the pain points, really shine.
So, Angel, how many users do you have in Manage?
7.
Okay, 7 users in Manage. And how many endpoints are you managing in Automate? Man, that sounds confusing.
I know. I hated the name change. It was one of the dumbest things I've ever seen, but whatever. I'm not up at the ivory tower, although I can drive to the ivory tower and throw things at it to get my tickets escalated. So,
oh, there you go.
Yeah, they're just up the road, so it's all good. So we're managing a little over 700 endpoints.
Okay, so 700 endpoints, 7 people in your ConnectWise Manage. So are all of the people in Manage technical, or do you also have like an office manager or other?
Yeah, I've got office manager, sales as well. So
okay,
not everybody in Manage is technical.
So you have more than 100 endpoints per tech.
Yes.
Okay. Now, with that said, how do you feel your Automate is configured? Do you feel like you could be automating more?
I'd say we're at about 10-15% of what we could be doing. So there's a ton more left to go.
Okay.
And I think it's very important when you're talking about manage and automate to understand that this is a journey for pretty much every MSP. Okay, because anytime you start a new tool, or even just we changed it over to the MSP model about a decade ago. So when that's a journey. I mean, we've been through 3 RMM tools. So each time, each tool does something different. And it's a journey. So a lot of folks that might be watching this may be frustrated because they're not automated. Well, it's a journey. You got to pick and choose what you want automated. Noise is huge. If you go too fast, you're going to end up with tons of noise that just ends up being meaningless.
Mm-hmm. And I think that's one of the hardest things. Adam, can you speak to the noise? I know that, out of the box, Automate seems overwhelming. And then once you turn on, oh gosh, what's that thing
Ignite.
they added a few years? Yes, Ignite. Once you turn on Ignite, then it just blows your whatever PSA you're using, whatever ticketing tool you're using, it blows it up with noise. So can you speak to the noise and educate us? How can we go about cleaning up the noise so that way we just aren't deleting or closing every ticket and ignoring everything, because there's going to be important stuff in there.
Absolutely, yeah. So what we really want you to focus on when you're dealing with Automate and the ticket explosion, because there's 2 categories of tickets. It's really informational alert and really critical alert. We only want to really focus on the critical alert. Informational alerts is, hey, this network was down and it has repaired itself after, ping 5 times, it's now recovered. We don't, that's noise. You really have to engage with an Automate consultant. It is a beast of a program. I am not an Automate consultant. It's an engineering platform. You really have to tune the platform. We use great companies such as ProVal, Stack Advisors in the industry that really know how to tune that particular application. Because I'm focused more on the manage, the ConnectWise service board.
That's fine.
And we're really, at the end of the day, I think, Angel, you can probably speak to this, being the MSP, is you really have to take a step back and say, what alerts do I really need to see? Okay, server down, network outages, my backup failures. What is the most critical things? And so we I encourage everybody to take a step back from the application and then go and design, the reports, or not reports, but the alerts that you're wanting to see.
And that really also goes back to who you're serving. If you are serving companies that are not under any kind of regulatory compliance requirements, which my attorney will argue that every company is under regulatory compliance for cybersecurity, but that's another story for another 50 webinars. If you're serving doctors, okay, that's going to look differently than if you're serving CPAs. Okay, that may also look different than if you're serving a janitorial services company. Okay, so the noise is dependent on what you're really, who you're serving and what their needs are versus what your needs are as an MSP. Because at the end of the day, who we serve dictates how we serve.
Excellent. With that said, how do I want to phrase this next question? I do want to go, I want to rewind real quick. That's what I want to do. Adam, when you had your successful MSP before you sold it, how many endpoints were you managing? How many employees did you have in your manage?
We had about 1,000 endpoints, and I want to say maybe a little bit more than that. I think we left with 12 employees.
Okay. 10
to 12 employees. So, but our peak was 2008. So we had about 20 employees. So shrank a little bit, but obviously profitability increased. So that's what the bottom line is, a big number you want to achieve. So through efficiencies and scaling, we were able to make it much more efficient.
Okay, great. For those of you that are joining us late, no problem. We're just getting started. We're doing a ConnectWise tech talk. We've got Angel and Adam joining us, and Adam is dialed in, and that's fine. But that's why his lips are moving and his voice isn't lined up. So don't ask. Now you know. It's not a software glitch. It's just how it works when you dial in.
Apologize. I'm in Redondo Beach at a conference right now, so it's all good.
Enjoy it, man.
I'm in my office on a webinar.
Yeah, I'm in my office. Yeah, Adam, it looks like you're like on a balcony.
I am on a balcony, and I was thinking of actually moving out to the harbor here and walking.
Nice.
Awesome. All right, let me check on the Q&A section here before I ask. I don't want to, let's see. I believe Automate will only be able to provide traditional IT management. Do you feel like within the next 2-3 years max, modern management like Intune by Microsoft will be a full replacement for Automate, rendering it unnecessary? Why or why not? Oh my gosh.
All right. I'll speak to that. So here's my harsh reality that I think is going on. I think at some point Microsoft has, for whatever reasons, they, I believe, are working very hard to, I guess, make people believe they can IT themselves. So while they're working hard at doing that, I also believe that that's not true. There's still a very valid place for MSPs. And I believe that you're going to see where Intune or Microsoft will make it a little bit difficult to manage things with RMM, but then you'll see RMM catch back up, as has happened in the past, particularly with Windows patching and Windows 10 and other items like that. So I think it's going to be a tension that happens. I think it's Microsoft trying to, I guess, figure out how to remain relevant when, in my opinion, I don't think they really need to figure that out as long as they produce a great, solid base of an operating system that can be managed. That's one of the things where I believe Windows, Microsoft created an industry, Apple created a product. And, still managing and dealing with Macs in an enterprise environment is just not really happening. And it doesn't sound like they have any intention of going that route. So, as long as Microsoft keeps making Windows very easy to manage in an enterprise and in a broad environment, there will be a place for a tool like Automate, and Intune will come in and try and do its thing. There's still, it's not a be all end all, but we'll see. That's my prediction.
Any thoughts on that, Adam?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of questions on Automate. It's a really fantastic tool. I mean, my main focus is manage and sell. So, I think it's pretty spot on what Angel is kind of saying.
I see that somebody asked about something with regards to sales about, I don't know if it was about manage or about automate. Let me tell you just something harsh reality about dealing with ConnectWise sales. Whatever they say, get them to put it in writing, okay? Because unless it is in writing and in your contract, it will not be delivered.
I think you just
absolutely do concur.
Jordan said, sounds like great people to give money to.
Arnie does have a very nice vehicle, and ConnectWise does have a very nice office, and there are a lot of people that work there, and I will tell you that we've had words.
We've had words. So let's look at manage for a moment.
By the way, you asked about the love-hate relationship. That's part of the hate relationship.
Yeah. Jordan said angel with a candlestick in the library. All right, so let's talk manage for a minute. Manage is really capable, and Adam, I'm going to start with you on this one. So with manage, I know you're able to set up, I think they call them, I forgot what they call them. Wow. I suck at this today. The tracks. ConnectWise has tracks in manage. Do they still call them tracks?
They still call them tracks, yes, exactly. Yep.
And can you explain to us a good scenario for using a track? And let's talk like, entry level. I want to dip my toes in the water with tracks. I'm not trying to overwhelm myself.
Yep. I mean, the easiest example is dealing with sales to service handoff and getting a new client. When taking a prospect and turning them into a client, going through that process, really a track is doing, automated T steps, maybe notifications to clients, maybe an email sent out. We engage in tracks in sending whenever a client, whenever a company comes, a client of ours, we automate, it's completely automated where the tracks will send out an email out to my vendor to send out, a welcome package to, my new client, or a thank you card or whatever. And it also then triggers an event for my accounting team to, engage and set up an agreement, and then make all the steps inside to, set up the client as an active financial paying customer. And then we also then set off a trigger to my services delivery team to onboard that particular client, ask a questionnaire and so forth. And then you can also delay those, set certain time intervals, and say in 3 months, most of our, implementations take anywhere from, 60 to, 6 months, depending on the size of the organization. We can set up a trigger to say, hey, in 4 months, send them another little package of thank you, for, dealing, having our business and just hope you enjoy the platform. There's a love-hate relationship. You guys are beating, Arnie up for whatever he's driving, but it's a phenomenal application. I'm dealing with a lot of companies switching from AutoTask over to manage ConnectWise. And obviously I'm sure it's vice versa. There's a lot of people switching back and forth. It's just use the platform, use the tools you have. I think, Steve, you use AutoTask. Is that correct?
A few times.
A few times. So, it's just whatever tools that you have.
Too,
Exactly. And that's the biggest thing is whatever tools you have, right? You leverage them, and you write down the good and bad and whatever, platform you enjoy and work with. And, you feel like, everything's going to be a love hate, Autotask has its own love hate, everybody does, so just embrace the tool that you have and build it out.
By the way, I'm happy to say that 3 years after we switched from Autotask, they finally closed the ticket that they were working on for us.
Okay.
And I got an email notification about it.
So let's talk about, I just want to talk, okay, so with tracks, you've got like line after line after line of the sequence of everything that it does, right?
Yep.
Okay, so when in a track, what are some of the functions that you can do in a track?
Awesome. Getting quite technical here. Sometimes it's better to even show a screen and so forth. Is there any questions about tracks, or was this just a topic on tracks? I didn't know.
There's no questions on tracks. I just more or less want to understand okay, so you can assign a ticket, create a ticket, send an email, that type of stuff. What kind of stuff can a track do when looking at granular one event within a whole track?
Yeah, so inside a track, you can, basically add a particular company or contact into a group, a marketing group. You can change, company statuses. You can create activities. So you can use it for sales activities, create service tickets, and you can even just send off an email. So those are really kind of the actions that you can do. And then basically then on each of those actions, you can populate various different descriptions or templates, ticket templates. For like, let's say onboarding an MSP versus a new server, you might want to create a service ticket with a certain template, so you can choose a certain template. Those are really kind of the main actions that you can do, and it's all within the ConnectWise setup tables, the track setup table.
Now you mentioned sharing your screen. Do you have like a track demo that you want to show us?
Not necessarily a track demo, but I can certainly show you within ConnectWise. Let me share my desktop here. So inside ConnectWise, you have these tracks. So new service lead, creating a activity for a particular company inquiry, sending an email out. Then they also can create another activity. So here's some more actions here. Creating a service ticket. I can choose my ticket template here, and then I can say, perform this after 5 days or whatever. So once again, I stress to not immediately go into building and designing a track inside ConnectWise first. Break out a whiteboard something out, whiteboard the steps, whiteboard the issues that you're having or how you can automate it. Because once again, a lot of people say, hey, I want to set up track. I'm like, okay, well, what do you want to automate? What triggers do you want? What is it?
Everything.
Onboarding.
I want to automate everything.
Yeah, everything. And so that's a lot of people come to me at that. I'm like, okay, well, let's start off with the very basics. We always go to sales to service handoff, so that's the most difficult one. And so that's where we write down each individual step of the sales to service handoff between those two departments, or it could be, two team members, various size. And so once again, I whiteboard things out, document steps, and then we say, okay, well, who gets the notification? How do they get it? Is it just an email? Is it a ticket? Or is it, an activity? Obviously, service engineers and so forth, service team works out of tickets. Sales team works out of activities. And do you want to just send an email out to a client, templated email saying, hey, thanks for signing our agreement. And, in the next few days, you're going to get this and this and this and this. So those are commonly, that's the very first one we usually start off with. And then outside that, you can have other, tracks. What other ones do we see? Let's see, QBRs, quarterly business reviews is another one. So scheduling those out. So automatically creating the ticket on a quarterly basis. And you can do that with ticket templates, but you might want to send an email out to a client. at the same time, a nice formatted email. So that's where you can use a track to do that, to do certain triggers for that. And then you might want to have the sales team create an activity for the sales team, because QBRs, I like to do service analysis and also sales analysis from the, tactical versus technical. So we want to be very tactical with our sales team and very technical with our engineering team.
I like that. That's catchy. Now, Angel, are you willing to share your like if you go into setup tables tracks, that won't show any customer information. Are you willing to share some tracks you've created?
Nah, I don't have any.
Okay, so he wasn't kidding when he said 10 to 15% of the system.
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to what you're focusing on. And so the past couple of years, we've had quite a bit of growth within our company. So, a couple of years ago, we were only at 4 total employees. We've almost doubled. So as you add employees, it then makes sense to add automation, because literally, handing off a sale from the engineering or from the sales department to the engineering department was literally moving a stack of papers from one place on my desk to the other place. So it's not really worth the time to automate that.
Unfortunate, by the way.
But now I have somebody that's a senior engineer where I literally have to thoroughly document everything that I promised the client and then hand it over to him so that he can then engage the technical team to actually do it. So, we're getting to the point where we're going to need some of that automation. Also, I've been onboarding a salesperson for the past couple months. And so we're also developing how that sales process looks like, from how we're going to market to how we're going to, end up doing the sales onboarding and all of that. So once all those processes, like Adam said, once you have them actually done in real life, then you can replicate them in whatever tool you're using to actually automate some of that. And really automation is sending people reminders. Hey, don't forget to do this. Today you got to bring donuts to so-and-so. Hey, today make a phone call to such and such. So, there's nothing like mystical about tracks. It's just, hey, how do we do something consistently every time?
So would you say, for example, if you have a process you've defined, defined? Really? If you've got a process you have defined, for example, client onboarding, and you've got step-by-step, here's all the things that we need to do, that is really easy to take that, Word document and turn it into a track, because you already have that roadmap, right, guys?
Correct. It is very hard to take something that's in your head and not mapped out on paper and turn that into a track.
Okay. And it might also be helpful to not just write it down and immediately turn it into a track. You want to, write that process out and actually run it a few times because you're going to have to tweak, no matter how perfectly you think you wrote that out, you're going to have to make changes.
And here's the reality. I mean, I don't mind taking jabs at our industry because, hey, we have to face reality. Most of us out there are not big enough that we're doing onboardings frequent enough to spend the time doing the processes and automating those processes. It's more important for us to get more consistent, put it on a piece of paper and get it done, get it consistent. And once it is tried and true, and once you're seeing 2, 3, 4 onboardings a month, then spend the time, and you'll have the money at that point to do it and to hire somebody like Adam. But a lot of people want this stuff to work out of the box. And the problem is your business doesn't work out of the box. Your software can't either.
Yeah, and so, Steve, I know you immediately went to tracks. Commonly, people immediately come to us and say, hey, we want to start automating our business. I'm like, okay, what do you want to do? What do you want to look at? And so I immediately go to show me your document that you have for your sales service onboarding is an example. That's where we always start. And they don't have one. MSPs simply just don't have one. Standard operating procedures, SOPs. We obviously have a huge library of those, and we give them to you, provide them to you, but we also coach you and build that platform out and build those processes out. And that's why, once again, I'll jump back to the love-hate relationship with ConnectWise. People hate it because the platform doesn't exactly work. They want everything to They just think it's
It
like
works.
launching a web.
It just isn't a mind reader.
It also isn't a
Yeah,
silver
exactly.
bullet. It's not going to fix your business. If your business is
Yep.
broken, software ain't going to fix it.
Mm-hmm.
You're exactly right. Exactly. And so, I use the analogy of like, hey, I'm just going to launch this brand new website and now I'm going to get, millions of dollars in hits and, 10,000 hits a month. And it's like, that's simply not going to happen. I have to drive traffic. I have to create it engaging. You have to actually do things inside ConnectWise to actually change your business and, drive, profitability, drive the scalability with your business. And that's, we immediately start out with documentation of your SOPs.
So for either of you, before you start to automate anything, you need to document it out and look at the process and say, this I think is going to work, and then actually test it. And that even probably works better with Automate too. Even if you just get a whiteboard or whatever and say, okay, I want to automate client onboarding with Automate. So once we deploy the agent, how do we want this to work? We want it to uninstall all their crap, start installing all of our crap. Everything's crap, right? And
Right.
So do you in Automate have anything like that automated? Have you started building on any of that type of stuff?
We do. And it's not 100% automated. And here's why. Because every MSP uses different crap. So if we onboard a client that's got crap we haven't seen before, we have to write a process in Automate to remove the crap. Okay. For example, we're going to talk about Control later. So Control installs a different unique installer for every instance out there. And in order to uninstall it, you have to know the signature of that installer to build an uninstall script for it. So again, I don't have every one of my competitors in my Automate ready to roll so that whenever I run across their Screen Connect, or Control, sorry, I'm using the wrong terms here. Every time I run into their Control, I can uninstall it. It just doesn't work that way. So but going back, I saw a comment about the salespeople. Going back to that, the salespeople are going to tell you what it is. It's their job to sell you the product, right? They're going to tell you whatever it is you want to hear. And most of it is true, but there's a huge but in there. And the but is your business ready for it? Is it practical? Does it make sense? Is it a reasonable automation? Or is it easy just to learn how to build it as you need it? Sometimes these things are easier, to build when you need it. And I'll be honest with you, if you only have one server in your entire realm of agents that's got this one application, and that application's not that critical, do you want to spend 12, 13, 14 hours building this elaborate automation on how to monitor it? Or is it easy just to pop into that server in the morning, take 5 minutes, or even pop open the control screen or control automate, whatever, the automate screen, pop open the automate screen and actually get a, the status of that application. So you just, there's a lot of business decisions that you have to make, and you have to be comfortable seeing them as business decisions before you ask the software to do something.
And I just I wanted to pop the poll questions up here. I'm not shocked that Star Wars won, by the way. Oh, great. Here we go. Peanut Gallery is chatting. All right. He doesn't. Okay. So Joe says he doesn't use any of those. He uses ConnectWise, LabTech, and Screen Connect.
You might want to run some updates, brother. Sounds like your support contract is out.
So I thought you guys would find this interesting. A lot of people here are using Control, or at least of the people that answered, there are more yeses than nos on Control, but there's more nos than yeses on Manage and Automate.
Why? Control is freaking awesome. If you're using Automate and you're not using Control, you're wasting money on something else.
Well, I mean, of the 5 nos, I mean, there are 7 nos on Automate, so. There are 5 people not using any ConnectWise products right now. So, I mean,
Yeah.
So, and then we also have 4 people that are not MSP owners. They're just, assessing the situation. Or maybe they just work for one and are just trying to learn so they can use their products better. So I just thought you guys would appreciate the information on who's here today.
Cool.
And, earlier when I was asking, Jordan prefers the term slave, not employee.
I got a job for you.
That's really unfortunate. Earlier when I was talking about tracks, one of the things I was going to ask is, you can have it do all kinds of nifty stuff. So one of the things that I started doing, and this is after I signed up for ConnectWise the first time, ConnectWise sent me a tin of cookies. And when I signed up for ConnectWise, and this was back in, 2010, 2011, somewhere around there. And the tin of cookies came from Christie Cookie Company. I have no idea if ConnectWise is still doing that, but they should, because you got to get something out of your hundreds of dollars a month, right?
Boy, I wish it were hundreds.
Well, look, depending on however many agents and employees you have, it could be thousands, right? So, oh, good. Eric said he gets a book now. All right, so I said, man, these are some darn good cookies. And I went to Christie Cookie and I said, how do I do this? And they said, give us $85 in your logo and we'll do it for you. I said, that's it? I said, yeah. So after $85, they printed a bunch of tin lids for me. And yeah. So can I, and the way to order these is to send an email. So can I use ConnectWise Manage to send an email to somebody that's, not the account manager, not the contact, can I send an email to a specific email address and say, hey, new customer, and then, merge or whatever the term is, the address and the attention to from ConnectWise using that track and automate sending out this email that says send these guys some brownies or cookies or whatever you want to send out.
Absolutely. So we do this exact thing. We if you've ever been to IT Nation, you tend to know that IT people tend to drink. So we actually use One Hope Wine. So you guys will get a wine gift box if you becoming a partner of ours, and it has our logo and everything on it. It's completely automated. And so it's also basically fundraising. Well, a percentage of their revenue goes to, depending on the type of wine that you buy, charities as well. And so
that sounds really nice.
Yeah, it's pretty nice. It's something we do. It's completely automated with the track in our system, and we just send an email out to our account manager over there, and it's from my perspective, it's completely done, and they just charge our card, whatever box we send. So you can absolutely do that. But once again, I go to what is.
You do the Iron brand, of course, right?
I do the Iron brand.
I was kidding. You really do.
Absolutely.
I chose the most expensive option. That's all.
Is exactly right. Well, when people engage with us, we're pretty pricey. Because it's a journey, man. And so if you guys are going to be spending a couple $1,000s with me, I got to produce really great results. And it's very valuable to me to have you as a client. And so we want to make sure we take care of our clients.
So what I just heard is, if you're giving me a couple grand, I need to produce great results. So it's really valuable for me to get you drunk first and then here deliver.
Bingo. That way your expectation bar lowers a little bit.
It's like it's like closing time at the bar. You're just happy to have what's left there, right?
Absolutely.
Oh boy. Jordan asked if I can create a track and send him cookies, and then he'll consider talking to his employer about ConnectWise. Jordan, no.
I'm not here to sell ConnectWise, and neither is Adam. So neither of us care about that either.
Yeah, really. We're just here to talk, man. That's really it. I mean, if you're already a ConnectWise user, then you're probably going to get the most out of this. If you're not a ConnectWise user, then you'll learn something, even if it's just a process or idea that you can take and try to implement with your own PSA or RMM.
It's like if you're a
Yeah.
Republican or a Democrat, no webinar is going to convince you to go other way. So, I mean, that's just the way it is.
Yeah.
Told
Libertarian.
you never know what's going to come out of my mouth.
I'm not touching that with a 10-foot pole.
That's what she said. Jordan says ConnectWise. Hillary uses data, so I mean, that's what I was
True
going.
story.
That's what I was going for.
Absolutely.
I was actually hoping.
And Bill was at the Autotask conference, wasn't he?
Mhm.
And then Datto was purchased by Autotask, right? So
No, Autotask was purchased by Datto.
whatever. Something's going
I
on
think
there.
the VC actually
Not
just
whatever.
merged the company.
Too long, didn't read. Russia owns Datto. Oh my gosh. All right, let's try and get back on track here, guys. So, Angel, let's talk Automate again.
Sure.
All right. Have you gone through and I know I don't know what you're able to share on the screen, by the way. So
Probably not much.
fair enough. So with Automate, and I'm going to try and describe this since we can't share a screen right now. You are able to go in and make like custom fields, and those fields could be something that you can write into a checkbox, a
Oh,
radial
yeah.
box, a drop down. And
Oh, yeah,
these fields can be in the customer area.
Yeah. Let
So
me
you can-
let me see. I don't use a lot of them in the customer area. I use a lot of them in the devices and locations.
Okay.
But that is some cool stuff. So
It really is, man.
I've-
Because I remember when I was using, I'll call it LabTech. Andy says it all makes sense now. No wonder Trump is always winning. He's using ConnectWise. So when I was using LabTech, I remember adding some custom fields, and I don't know if it was the right way to do it, but I created my own like drop down of what level of service are they, and based on that drop down and maybe a couple checkboxes, it would automatically add them to a search because they would automatically get filtered in, and then that search would be applied to a group which would do certain things, and the group would be able to install the antivirus or backup software or have particular monitors. Like if it's a SQL server, you can have a search that looks for SQL servers and a group that will apply all of the monitors for SQL servers just to the SQL servers.
So when talking about Automate and you use words like monitors and searches and groups, to somebody that doesn't use Automate, that means nothing. To somebody that uses Automate and just started, it also means nothing. And to somebody that's been using Automate for a couple of years, it also sometimes means nothing. So I'm going to use probably a different way to describe it. I'd rather describe the process of what it's doing because it helps to really look at the power of it. So I'll give you one instance of how we're using it. We use Veeam for our backup solution. And Veeam has different ways that you can monitor devices and monitor backups. We'll take something really simple like a desktop. A desktop can be its own entity in Veeam, as in I'm taking a desktop and sending backups out to our cloud. It's not managed by anything. But if we're in a domain environment and the desktop is a part of the domain and we've got a Veeam control server, in that environment, I can send backups to that control server, and then that control server offloads it to the cloud. So when I'm looking at monitoring those jobs, on a standalone computer, I'm going to want to read that standalone computer's logs. On a server environment, I'm going to want to read the server logs. So I have a checkbox that says, hey, this computer is managed by a server, And in that instance, it pulls it out of the groups that do the log reading and monitoring locally on that computer. And it leaves that, or it leaves it for me to monitor the central server, so I don't get duplicate alerts and things like that I'm looking for. So that's a way that I go ahead and reduce some of the noise. I also have some custom fields I use for reboot management. So there are times when I want to reboot servers on a weekly basis, and I've got different types of agreements with clients on when we do those reboots. So I have a drop-down list, and it just basically goes down the list of how I want to, or when I want to reboot those servers. And each of those drop-down options will then put the servers or even desktops in a group that will fire off a script to reboot that server. Now, the script is cool. The script goes through, puts the device in maintenance mode, so I don't get alerts about a device being down when I'm rebooting it, because duh. Okay. Puts the device in maintenance mode, opens up a ticket, monitors the device for reboot, issues the reboot command, and when the device comes up, it logs 15 minutes of time, because guess what? Your robots, they work too. They cost money, so account for them. All right? So it logs 15 minutes of time, closes out the ticket, cancels out maintenance mode, and you're done. Now your client, if they ever look at their history, they have a record that you did what you said you were going to do. And since our clients are all fixed fee, we're docking profitability on the contract so that we can account for the cost of lab tech and the cost of the consulting that we have to throw in there to make it work right and all that fun stuff. So we can pay guys like Adam.
Awesome. And someone asked, which version of Automate are you running?
I'm actually on, hang on, help about. I'm on pilot, the latest pilot, so 12 something patch whatever.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm on a pilot version here. There we go. Help about 12.0.385 patch 7 or 2018.7, depending on which naming convention and versioning convention you want to follow from LabTech or ConnectWise or whatever.
So 2018.7.
Yes,
now,
sir.
is that the one that has? I hear that there is a version coming out, or possibly out in pilot, that has even more web access.
Yeah, I have it. It's nice in a bind. That's about it.
So you don't want to use the web portal for.
I'm not big on browsers. I like having applications. That's one of the reasons why we don't use Autotask.
So for the guy that runs a Mac,
you're going to still need a virtual machine.
I don't like it.
Running Windows. But don't use a Mac. Nobody told you to use a Mac. You made that choice. Live with it. Good grief.
Joe said, what is wrong with you?
With me or with you?
I know Joe is an Apple user, so.
Oh, with me? What's wrong with me? Dude, I'll go grab my therapist and we'll have a chat about what's wrong with me.
So I think this could become a really interesting conversation. Wow. Okay, Joe, we don't gotta go to name calling, but
that's okay.
I mean,
I don't mind.
I think maybe he said clearly just because you brought up the therapist, though.
Yeah, I wasn't lying either.
Oh boy. So okay. Joe, what are your thoughts on the whole browser thing? Because I'm curious. Okay, so Joe loves it. So apparently he's had hands on the pilot as well. Now Lonnie said this is why I won't run ConnectWise, because as of right now you got to have the app. So I mean, it's.
Hey, let's be really specific on what you need. That like ConnectWise Manage, 100% browser. Sell, 100% in the browser. You can do everything in the browser now. So I have a lot of clients who are on Mac. Absolutely, the browser is 100% based. You now have setup tables in the browser. anything you can do inside the desktop app, you can do inside the browser now. Automate,
including setup tables and everything.
Including setup tables and everything. You can do 100% of everything.
Okay. So Andy said
automate,
that,
automate is different though.
So Andy's talking about, how fast, I assume he's talking about how fast the browser is. And he said that there's been a lot of performance improvements in the desktop client. I will say that I was working on an Automate 12 cloud hosted by ConnectWise. I was really underwhelmed by it was taking, I'm not exaggerating, 2 or more minutes from the time I double clicked on a computer to the time it actually showed me anything and let me do anything. And I'm sorry, but that just seems unacceptable to me. Like, I'm a Kaseya user and it actually works.
If you want, I can show you a demo of mine right now. I'll share my screen.
Okay.
All right. Here, how do I share screen?
Oh, there's a big green button down on the bottom.
There we go.
It says share.
Share. Look at that. All right.
CHER, share.
I'm going to go ahead and share this screen. I don't see any client info on it, so we should be good. Can you guys I
see.
You see my Automate?
Yes, I do.
All right,
yes.
Check it out. Watch this. Boom, double click, and we're there. All right, that should populate here in a moment, and I'm ready to do stuff.
So is this self-hosted?
Absolutely.
Okay, so self-hosted doesn't suck.
Exactly. That's another reason I went to ConnectWise and Automate or manage and automate, because I don't want somebody telling me how I can put my stuff, and I'm good hosting my own stuff. I can throw SSDs on it, and SSDs cover over a multitude of sins.
All right, so I know that we have Adam for another 15 minutes. So I'm going to focus solely on manage on the.
Can I go take a nap?
PSA. Well, you might have some insight, but feel free to close your eyes or sip some of your coffee or whatever you're drinking over there.
I'm off for water.
It's all good.
I finished the coffee, and my coffee assistant hasn't filled my cup again.
All right, Adam. So tell me, top down, what do you think is the most important things to configure for a new ConnectWise user? Manage.
Absolutely. So one of the biggest things I know you immediately jumped into tracks. Everybody wants automation. In order to get automation, you really have to streamline and set up your service boards correctly. We also set up the accounting and chart of account. So we go, CR Pacific, we go beyond the application itself. And so we work on the business and then we build the application. We integrate, automate, we integrate, sell, Datto, all these other third-party tools, Desk Director, IT Glue, whatever tool set you might have, we go through and we integrate that. At the end of the day is we all want to know the numbers inside your business. We want to know and manage based on effective hourly rate. I don't know if everybody knows what effective hourly rate is. We want to know utilization for your engineers.
Let's tell everyone what effective hourly rate is.
Effective hourly rate is pretty simple. It's how much time it's actually taking for you to do something and the dollar value which you're actually going to get that. So if I paint a fence, it takes me an hour, and you're getting billed and I bill $100, the effective hourly rate is $100. But if I'm able to do 2 fences, I'm still able to get $100 in that same hour. Now my effective hourly rate, is $200 because I'm able to do 2 fences in that single hour. And so it's just the amount of time it takes to actually do a job. And because we also have to take into account billable versus non-billable. And then also that account, affects utilization. So we want to make sure we manage those numbers inside ConnectWise. ConnectWise is, we feel, the best tool for managing numbers within the business. Now, granted, Getting reports out of ConnectWise is a whole nother story. And I'm not even going to scratch the surface there, but we usually engage with a company like BrightGauge to dashboard everything out. Also another company, NextNow, we use for custom report development. Because ConnectWise, once again, going to ConnectWise, going back to the well, service is extremely slow. I'm not going to lie. It takes, to get a custom report built, you're talking 6 to 8 weeks before it's finished. And there's other third-party companies that can do it in 2 weeks. So it's really frustrating. It's a phenomenal application to put everything in the system, but getting in, extracting the data, how you want to see it is really super difficult. And so they developed obviously the report writer, but once again, you have to spend time, like what reports am I looking for? What data am I, trying to achieve? So once again, we whiteboard out, what key metrics? Obviously we have best practices. A lot of the reports in there are really good. Agreement gross profitability is another one, for looking at how much agreement is actually costing, both hardware costs, but also labor costs. So we want to basically obviously try to maintain a 65% minimum profitability on agreement.
Okay.
So it's really just leveraging, services, the service boards, the metrics within ConnectWise, and so we can actually get financial reporting. That's what the platform is built around: managing your team, dispatching your engineers, to be super efficient. And by doing all those things, obviously, tracks is something we set up, probably a year, maybe 2 years after you actually been using ConnectWise. People try to immediately come to us and like, hey, yeah, let's do this, this, and this, and their service boards are completely messed up. They don't even know, they have, let's just say automate alerts and customer requests coming in the same board. Well, how can you look at a board that has 1,000 tickets that are open on it? It's just a bunch of noise and you're going to miss things. So we break things out, separate things out on various different boards. They have its own sales board and so forth. So that's, it's key parts of the application we want to focus on first is, service boards, project module as well. And then we haven't even talked about ConnectWise Cell and how to leverage that, or even, once again, what works is another tool that's great out there. Is that, probably a lot of your audience has. It's a much cheaper tool, and it works really great for just getting those quotes out. It integrates nicely with ConnectWise as well.
So now I know a guy that uses Cell, and he's done a really great job customizing it. I'm sorry I cut you off. The way he's customized Cell is, he basically has the quote, I'll call it, in Cell, and that somehow when he sends it out, that quote is, we'll call it a subcontract or a statement of work. And within the email that goes out, it also has the master services agreement. So basically the email that goes out has the full MSA, and then the quote is listed in there as a statement of work, which has its own terms, but also reflects all the terms from the MSA, and then appendices and whatever else. All of that is emailed out from Quozal or Cell. So when he emails that out, customer accepts, puts in their payment info or whatever else, they sign. They have just signed his full MSA.
Absolutely. And so what we do, once again, we go back to the paper. And so when we're talking about sales and Cell application, we go back to the sales process. We define the process first. And then when is the quote getting generated? Okay, when a quote gets generated, okay, then what template are we going to use? And so we take MSPs, we bundle their services. So we, manage services, manage backup, manage security, hardware, software, or is it a project template? So we set up various different templates. We actually released a blog article just this past week. It's outlining those things. And the previous week, a really good sales process as well on my site. And we really want to templatize things so you can really quickly develop and publish a proposal out to a client without reinventing the wheel every time. You guys, MSPs, make it so hard on yourselves. Word documents, copy and pasting things here and there. It's ridiculous. Excel documents for everything and anything. Let's just take a step back. Let's templatize it. Is it perfect? We try to get it as perfect as possible so you can actually duplicate that, replicate that for every single proposal you deliver. And the nice thing about it is I can attach any data sheets. I can attach MSAs to it. I can attach all sorts of documents to that one proposal. So then when a customer signs it, it's a complete package. It's really amazing. So.
Okay. Are you using Cell, Angel?
No.
QuoteWorks?
Yes.
So are you using QuoteWorks in a similar way to what I've just described?
Yeah, to some extent. So I don't always send, like, for example, prospects, they don't get a QuoteWorks quote valet quote. They don't get an online quote. It's all done by paper here in person. There's a very deliberate part or reason behind that. It's a part of our sales process. However, clients do get do get quotes out of QuoteWorks, and if it's appropriate to attach an agreement to it, it becomes a part of the quote. So we do attach that agreement to it.
All right. Now, I think this will probably end up being the last question for Adam. Migrating from Autotask to ConnectWise Manage. Talk to me.
Am I selling you on this?
No, I actually have a guy that is 90% certain
It's all good.
He's going to sign the contract. He's 90% certain with ConnectWise.
Yep.
So why don't you talk to the guy that's done it?
Let's get it to 95. Why didn't you pull the trigger?
After Adam, I'm going to you. So.
Hey, so once again, when you switch platforms, it's no easy task at all. So oddly enough, for whatever reason, all the Autotask conversions that we've done, they've requested not to have the data brought out of or exported out of Autotask for whatever reason. I don't know what it is. It tends to be the companies less than 5 users don't really care about migrating that data over. It's not important to them. And so
I understand. They're like, we don't really care about our ticket history or email history or anything else with our clients. Let's just switch platforms. We'll just
switch platforms, right?
Cool. That's cool. Is that what I'm understanding?
You pretty much heard it. Yeah. So lately, we've had a handful of conversions and they simply did not want to bring any of that information over. You are absolutely correct. And, there is a conversion tool. ConnectWise does have a conversion tool to export all that data and import it into ConnectWise. But at the same time, these clients just, simply didn't want that history because they can just export it and, have it in a, Excel document somewhere. They felt that they could get the data in every one of these instances. But so ConnectWise does have a tool to migrate.
Again, to recap, we don't want to put this into our ConnectWise where it's all in one place. We want to.
Yeah, you're exactly right.
In 9 months, when someone says, "Hey, remember about a year ago when you helped me with something?" and then they're like, "Okay, were we in ConnectWise or Autotask then?" and then they go search one, and then they have to go search the other, and then because it's in Excel, it's formatted over. Is that really what? And you're letting these people do this? What kind of consultant are you, Adam?
It's their own individual business preference. I can't force them to make any decisions. I am a consultant and I'm a coach to help them along in their business.
Steve, he's at a beach, at a hotel, and we're not. You answer that question.
Fair enough. All right. So have you guys ever heard of? And these guys were on a webinar for me in the last couple months. It's a tool called Slinger. And sorry, I stuttered because apparently multitasking is hard. All right, so Slinger has all of these different things that it integrates with. And I was trying to explain to people that Slinger is kind of like a Zapier for MSPs. And it's really cool. So all of the things that they integrate with, you'll see Autotask here, and then I swear ConnectWise was in this list. Yeah, here. Duh. Okay, so what they're able to do is they will literally help you migrate all of your data using their app. So you don't have to export to Excel, massage the data, and then hand it over to ConnectWise or use the import, which I thought was really neat. Have either of you guys? And I think Adam's going to take off. So thank you, Adam.
No,
so
my
much.
battery just died. No, I'm listening. My battery died on my laptop. So
Oh, that's funny. So have either of you guys heard of Slinger?
I don't know. I think I might have clicked on the link. I don't know if they're the guys that only support cloud instances of auto or of ConnectWise or not. One of these cool apps, they look like it was the answer to all of my integration problems, and then they said they only support the cloud instances of ConnectWise, and then I wanted to put curses on them.
Gotcha.
Just
Okay.
being honest.
Fair enough. All right. So now we're going to talk with Angel about migrating from Autotask to ConnectWise. How did you do it?
all right, guys, I'm bouncing out. Thank you,
so
Steve,
much,
very
Adam.
much.
I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Adam.
Appreciate it. Talk later. Bye-bye.
So we did keep our data, and it's actually come in very handy because we have had to do some searches in the past. So keeping the data was
Imagine
huge
that.
for us. Yeah. So that was nice. We did keep all of the Autotask tickets and history in a separate board, and so that we could kind of close that and get it out of our view when we were pretty much done. But if we needed to go back to it, we could kind of open it back up and reveal it again, because again, out of sight, out of mind, and I just didn't want that info. Just like I see that I think it was Andy in one of the chats, he said he wanted a fresh start, so it gave me the opportunity to get that fresh start without really getting that fresh start. So the migration went well. All the agreements and contracts had to be done manually. And that's fine, because I really can't expect that data to be,
Slinger insists they can do it. I don't believe it.
Who?
The app I showed you, Slinger.
The contracts and agreements?
They insist they can do every component.
That's interesting, because they're just completely different structures. So coming from Autotask and going to ConnectWise, it really is a very different way that they handle the agreements and contracts. So it wasn't a big deal to me, but my strategy for migration was, first off, I need to know, or I need to do whatever it takes to be able to keep collecting money. So there were a couple of things. One, I need to be able to create invoices. Two, I needed to be able to bill people that needed to be billed and not bill people that didn't need to be billed. So my fixed fee clients, I needed to be able to bill the contract, and I needed to be able to generate invoices for clients that were not on fixed fee. So so those were part of my requirements, and that really dictated the priority of how we migrated. So again, the migration went, in my opinion, it went well. We were not, if we were to do it today, I don't know how that would go. In fact, I'm not even sure if we would do it today, because of how much volume we're doing. I mean, the bigger you are, the harder it is to make a change like that.
You said the volume you're doing. I mean, what is? Are you measuring like tickets per day? Like, what kind of volume are you thinking?
Yeah, we're running probably about 30, 40 tickets a day. Human tickets. That's not counting RMM and all that other stuff and automations and things like that. But
how many like dog or cat tickets? Dog or cat tickets?
We're actually getting into dog and cat situations, so I'll have to tell you once we have some more volume there.
Veterinarian type clinics or
no?
Okay. I thought, I don't know. So what dogs and cats are you working on now?
I have no idea.
Jordan said he can't.
You're drilling too deep. I thought you were going to walk away from this topic, so I thought I'd follow for a little bit, but you didn't walk away.
Jordan can't make heads or tails of this.
That's fine.
All right. I'm gonna hit the sorry I can't talk right now button again, Dominic. Sorry. All right. So let's see here. I know Andy said that it took him 6 months Andy, are you? I'm going to make you a co-host if you want to do video and audio. I'd love if you could fill us in on how you did your Autotask to ConnectWise migration, because I know that you did. You spent a lot of time, and I tried to convince you every step of the way to stay in Autotask, and you just wouldn't listen. It's very disappointing. No, he might have. Oh, he said he's here.
It works.
There we go.
Yeah. No, my migration was a lot of manual work. I want to.
You want to do that like every year, right?
Oh yeah, yeah. That's what I want to dream of doing. Wasting money on two products at the same time.
Well, you weren't wasting money on one of the products.
Yeah, Autotask. No, I had issues with. I was a AEM shop with Autotask, and it worked really well. However, AEM at the time had a lot of issues that were not being addressed, and so I jumped ship to LabTech, and I saw the light. I saw the golden calf at the end of the tunnel. So the issue I had with Autotask was it would not automatically close tickets within LabTech. And there was a lot of synchronization issues between the two products, even though both of them, ConnectWise and Autotask, said it'd work. So, yeah, it's one of those idols from the Old Testament. So, but yeah, so effectively, I was like, I got fed up with that. After about a year messing with it, really trying to get it working properly, I had Autotask working to the way that I wanted it, but the tickets not closing, the tickets not synchronizing properly, that's a deal breaker. Because I'd come back after a week and I'd see there'd be 600 open tickets, and I'd look up the ticket numbers within LabTech and they'd be closed. It's too much effort, too much manual effort. So my whole thing was I need this to work. And so I was like, well, let's look at ConnectWise. So I finally went and got ConnectWise, got all that paid for. Spent the next 6 months migrating. Mind you, I'm a single guy, so like this could have, if there was 2 or 3 other people's here, then yes, it could have gone a lot quicker. But I manually migrated.
You're not single.
Yeah, peoples. I just need peoples. I need bodies. But effectively, I spent a lot of time migrating the what do you call them? They're not contracts. They're agreements. Agreements from Autotask into ConnectWise. I just got all of the automated. Like one of the things I didn't like. One of the things I didn't like was how Autotask would not magically count the number of devices and apply them towards an agreement. So that is now done magically within ConnectWise. So if people add more devices, well, they get charged for more devices. You guys stop. I'm closing it out. You guys are terrible.
We're messing with. Andy keeps reading the chat, and we keep telling
you guys
stop reading the chat.
Yeah, I just closed the chat. You guys are.
And the poor people on Facebook are confused.
They're so confused.
They're like, why is this guy stuttering every 5 seconds? I don't know. I mean, what do you want about the whole process? I mean, it's not an easy process by any means, but.
So you said that you left all of the junk in Autotask. Was there anything that you didn't consider junk? Or are you one of those guys that said, I'm not going to migrate everything over?
I did not directly migrate anything over on purpose because I did not want my Autotask was my first major PSA and CRM. And I did not want my past mistakes carrying over to ConnectWise.
Ooh, I like that. I like
So I set up a lot of things within Autotasks that, while they made sense at the time, they did not help me business-wise, or they did not help me waste less time doing what I need to do every day. So, for example, invoicing used to take me about, per client, probably about 15 to 20 minutes in Autotask.
Why?
Exactly. It shouldn't have. And I ended up getting that down to about 10 minutes per client. And there were strict reasons and rules that had to be done according to Autotask for things to be pulled into QuickBooks. And I worked with my ConnectWise, I worked with my Autotask rep. I even paid them extra money to help me sort it out. And they said, like, this is a problem. So I was like, well, that's not cool. Anyways, I got that sorted out with ConnectWise because the way the agreement structure works, it was just better for, I guess, how I was doing things. Not necessarily different, but just better. There were a lot of automated rules and workflows that I had built within Autotask that did not, or they just weren't even, they didn't, I won't say they didn't work right, but they didn't work consistently. And I had an Autotask guy, he's just like, I don't understand why this isn't working right. And I don't know if the ticket's still open with them or not, but I don't know. It's been a year since I've been off of them. So
Give it 2 more years and they'll close it out for you and resolve it.
yeah, probably. So,
with an actual answer, though.
Yeah, you'll get an email.
Yeah. Because your email is still tied to the ticket within their system. So if it closes out, you'll still get an email from them about it. But so effectively, I chose to wipe everything because I did not want to carry over a lot of the bad habits, the bad setup, or the things that just did not work. And so the only thing I pulled from Autotask were a bunch of reports regarding my billable time, and effectively the ticket summaries for all of those billable times. So I have about 20 megs worth of PDFs for each client that defines exactly what was done. Mind you, I've never used them, but they're there. So
now, Angel, it sounds like both of you had a hell of a time switching from Autotask to ConnectWise.
No, I mean, mine was pretty easy. It was a lot of manual work setting up, the agreements and everything. I mean, I don't think you can get away from that. But it all comes down to the plan that you have, priorities, and organization of making the cut over. We were off Autotask in 1 month. I mean, we were done. I was not going to pay for multiple months. So it was get in, get out, and be done.
Okay. And
I think I set myself a 3-month ramp period, and I left Autotask running for 3 months just in case I had forgotten something. So I was fully using ConnectWise after 3 months, and then at that point I paid for an additional 3 months of Autotask just being there as a safety net in case something terribly went wrong or whatever. But Angel's definitely right. There is a lot of manual labor and effort involved in performing that kind of a migration, because I went through, I renamed all of my products to make them more searchable. I mean, I renamed all of my agreements. I went through and reset up everything now knowing what I know. So there's a lot of planning involved. Is what it boiled down to.
okay, so well, thank you, Andy. I appreciate it, man.
Yeah.
Does anyone have? I feel like we're at a point where we can wrap up. I don't have any outstanding questions or anything. Are there any questions that anyone has on anything ConnectWise related that maybe we didn't cover? I think, and while I wait for people to type questions in or whatever, I just want to say that I think ConnectWise is an incredibly powerful platform. So there's, and for people that are joining us late and maybe aren't using any of the ConnectWise products, there's Manage, which is the PSA, so that's the CRM and ticketing and all that good stuff. And I think, Angel, you can even do some marketing in Manage, right?
That's what the salespeople say.
Right. Automate, that is the RMM. That is the automation, management, monitoring, everything for each of the endpoints that you are providing services to and for. So whether it's servers, desktops, I believe you can even do like printers and firewalls and managed switches. And
Yeah, there's some extendability there for that.
Excellent. Cell is, I'm going to say, basically just a quoting tool. I mean, there's more to it than that, but I feel like that's the best way to describe Cell.
I can't speak to that because I don't use it.
How would you describe QuoteWorks?
So it's a quoting tool.
Okay, so it's a quoting tool.
Yeah. Now I know that if we had an or a ConnectWise guy on here, they'd tell you that it's kind of cool. Lab Tech or Automate can actually generate opportunities in ConnectWise. So, for example, if you set a threshold of a computer being, I don't know, 36 months old, so on month 37, an automatic opportunity would be created to sell a new computer. Or if you set a threshold for disk space, it could create an opportunity to sell a hard drive. So there's some of that functionality there, and I think Cell takes advantage of that as well. I know that there's some additional automation that you can do among the tools using Cell. So without being really authoritative on it, I can't really tell you much about that. We use QuoteWorks, and the reason we use it is, one, it was cheaper. Two, and ConnectWise gets angry when I say this, but when we were buying, one of their salespeople basically told me, it sounds like you would be better suited with QuoteWorks, because I didn't want to pay their price and their implementation and wait 6 weeks to implement it. So I went to QuoteWorks on their advice.
They can be really cocky, can't they?
Just a bit. So anyway, so that's why we ended up with QuoteWorks, and I'm really happy with it. I'm old school. I like apps. I like software. I like stuff that runs on my desktop.
I hate apps.
I also again, I'm really old school. I like coming into an office and working. I don't want to work from anywhere. If I'm not in the office, I don't want to be working. That's really, it comes down to how I want to live my life. So I like software on the desktop. It forces me to come into work and do it. Now I have ways to get in remotely and do what I need to do if I need to, if I have an emergency. But for the most part, again, I just, if I'm not in the office, I don't really want to be working. So the ConnectWise suite gives me that flexibility, except for Cell. And so QuoteWorks plugged that in nicely. Another nice part that I like about the whole ConnectWise suite is that I can self-host. So when you self-host ConnectWise, you get some access to the backend. This is particularly important for me in Automate. So I don't care what RMM tool you use. If you can't access the backend, you can't make some mass changes. So for example, we got a client we onboarded with 50 phones, and to go around to each phone and check the boxes I needed to have Automate gather info would have taken me probably about 3 or 4 hours. Any RMM tool could have probably taken that much time, because you got to go into each and open it, blah blah blah. It's not a device that you load an agent on, so you got to do the SNMP monitoring and all that stuff. Very easy. I went to the back end and Automate. opened up my database. It's a MySQL database. I ran a query. All 50 devices got all the settings I needed, and I'm done. So something that would have taken me several hours, I can do it on the back end in a few minutes. Same thing with, we've done offboarding of clients. So if I need to delete a client, do I go to each contact individually and delete it out of Automate, or do I just run a query, delete all the contacts, delete the company, and done? There's just, I like having that flexibility from the back end. The EDFs, the extra data fields, absolutely sold me on LabTech or Automate, because it means I can tailor my service offering to how we do business and to whom we serve, which is something that we talked about earlier. The flexibility really, that's what it came down to. With control, I like, again, there's a lot of flexibility that seems to come with the ConnectWise suite, especially when you self-host. When you go into cloud-based apps that are hosted by the vendor, you don't get access to some of those backends, so you kind of get stuck with however they want you to do things or however they think things should be done better. So those were some of my reasons. Everybody's got their reasons for doing what they want to do. That's what makes this beautiful. We can all work however we want to work. But I'm the one in the webinar, so I get to talk about how I work.
Excellent.
Pretty simple.
Well, Angel, I really appreciate you doing this. This has been, I think, informative. I mean, it would have been awesome if I could have gotten somebody from ConnectWise here, but they told me that they don't have the bandwidth. So apparently they don't have enough. I don't know if that was their way of saying they don't have enough internet bandwidth, or if they just don't want to do it.
Yeah, I don't think they were interested in doing it, but that's just me.
Yeah,
I'll probably get a call later from them.
Tell them to call me, because I've been trying to get them to call me for months.
But again, that goes back to when you started off. You said, a love-hate thing. It for us and for how we do things, I wish there were a better tool to do it. We've looked, and we get calls from every company, from Kaseya to Autotask to SolarWinds to Ninja, and every time it just comes down to flexibility. None of them really offer the same level of flexibility that we have with ConnectWise that allows us to do business and serve the clients that we serve.
I'm gonna close out the webinar with this. Actually, no, I'm gonna close out in just a minute. One, I want to share something with everybody. I almost forgot about this. So for those of you that are ConnectWise Automate users, you can go to slack.labtechgeek.com and you can join the LabTech Geek Slack team. And there are a lot of really great conversations that happen in there. So, hey, Joe, you say it's old news, but not everybody knows, okay? Especially the guy named Dave, who hasn't even signed his contract with ConnectWise yet. So, yeah, join this up. You'll enjoy it. Next week is, I'm going to call it Security Week at MSP Webinars. I want to get you guys pumped, because I think these are going to be some good webinars. We've got Pluralock joining us on Tuesday, and they have a new biometric security software. It's an agent, and it basically watches like the cadence and words per minute and everything else, and how you use your keyboard and your mouse to determine if the person that's supposed to be using the computer is actually using the computer. So that will be on Tuesday. I'll have the URL up on my website here in the next 45 minutes to an hour or so for you to get registered to that. Thursday, Sophos. And for those of you that are a member of MSP Webinars, you will get an awesome deal for Sophos. I'm getting everyone upgraded, new and existing customers, to the $1,000 to $49.99 pricing. So, if you've already got 1,000 agents or more in Sophos, it's not as exciting for you. But, for the guys that are signing up and might only do, 50 or 100, that is going to be, on some things like Intercept X, it's like over half off. So the pricing is going to be phenomenal for those of you that are thinking about Sophos or are already on Sophos and on a lower tier. So I'm excited about that. The deal information for that will be available in the member portal on Thursday. You can go to mspwebinars.com to register for upcoming webinars or to become a member to get access to really cool deals, or the Slack room that we unfortunately had to hijack for today's webinar. The speakers were having issues, so we had to hijack the Zoom room here to have today's webinar and broadcast it into Crowdcast, which broadcasts it onto YouTube and Facebook. So there was probably like a 30-second delay. Hopefully nothing weird happened with the broadcast, though. All right, I'm going to leave you guys with this, though. That was too funny. I'm going to leave you guys with this. Whether you decide you want to use ConnectWise, Autotask, Datto products, Datto RMM, SolarWinds, Ninja, or anything else, they all suck. You just have to figure out which one sucks the least for you. None of these products are perfect, right? You just gotta. Angel just said, "Embrace the suck." That's double entendre there, Angel. I don't know how I feel about that one. So with that said, we are going to wrap up today's webinar. For those of you that are members of MSP webinars, hop into the Zoom room. We're going to keep talking. And for those of you that aren't, join so you can hop in the Zoom room and keep talking. Thanks, everybody. You all have an awesome day. See you next week. Okay, we're no longer live. There you go. You are now allowed to be unmuted.
Have you been looking for a way to stay focused on your goals and grow your MSP? Accountability groups from RocketMSP can help. We offer weekly accountability sessions that meet online with a group of your peers. Your success begins with accountability. Go to www.rocketmsp.io to join your accountability group today.